Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to do Count Strigoi as well as his whole dungeon, which is the whole castle. And there's many things to do in this dungeon, not too many, but there are some things that you should be doing so you know which ways to go in this dungeon. Because there is multiple doors, and depending on the route you take will actually make it so you have to do more things when you don't need to. In reality, you only need to do 2 fights, but if you aren't paying attention, you might have to do 3 and whatnot, which that's why this whole video is here, to premise you of what the guide is and how to do it and whatnot. So I'll go over both bosses and how to do the actual dungeon and the correct pathway you should be doing. But if you do enjoy this type of content, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Definitely leave a comment as well. It does help out with the algorithm, and that's all I really need from you guys. It just pushes out the video more to other people. So start off with the dungeon and what's the proper way of doing this. So when you go inside the dungeon, you'll have some dialogue and whatnot. The first thing you want to do after that is talk to Kane von Shane. After you talk to Kane von Shane, you'll get some dialogue and whatnot, and I want you to go all the way back to the front door where you guys just came from. There's a book or like a guest registry to the left of it, and you want to interact with that. Once you interact with that, it'll tell you where Kane von Shane is located. And once you do that, there is a room that's called the White Room, and next to it is the White Room guard. Once you talk to the guard, he'll let you in and you can talk to Kane von Shane, and that's where you start the boss fight. Now, if you didn't know this, other people would do the other rooms where you're just interacting with the doors, and there's even a mob fight in one of them. You don't have to do that mob fight. It's not mandatory. What they could have done is, honestly, if you did that mob fight, it'll like remove a cheat from one of the bosses or something like that, but they didn't do that, which is kind of a missed opportunity. So just do this instead and you can save yourself one fight. Now that we got that out the way, let's go over the first fight, which is Kane von Shane. Kane von Shane has a couple cheats, and I did miss a cheat. So there is a cheat that's not on here, and I don't know what it is, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's go over his cheats first, which is build my strength. At the beginning of round 2, 5, and 8, because this is basically a cycle, he'll cast a balance blade on himself. And then he has a cheat called Stun My Prey, which is happening after he says the previous cheat, where he's like at the beginning of that round, Kane von Shane will cast a chromatic dispel on each wizard. And then he says, and now the strike, where he hits the player with a monster mash. So this is just a cycle that he does on repeat. And then he has a cheat where it's I am Lord Kane von Shane and I deserve dignity. If a feint is placed on Kane von Shane, he will cast Dark Pact. And this is literally old Dark Pact, not the current Dark Tribute, which is a %. This is old Dark Pact where it does just a singular amount of damage, and this will remove your feint, so be wary of casting feints on this boss. And then he has another cheat where it's more life for me. Casting a burst heal will cause Kane von Shane to cast Vampire on the caster. Now he does have one other cheat, which I'm not too sure how to activate it, but it's meant to set his cycle. So every time you hit him or something like that, it basically will reset his cycle, similar to Kane von Shane. But I think that's what the cheat is. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know the name of it, but that is used for a badge, which we'll talk about later in this video. So hey, if you are trying to basically reset his cycle, putting a damage over time or just spamming him with hits should kind of help with that. So there is that. So let's go over the fight strategy for the people that are doing this in team based. Is you just do Scald Incendiate. If you don't do Scald Incendiate, just literally blade stack the hitter, and on the second round just have them use Haket or a Mu or whatever your Solenopolis spell is, depending on who your hitter is. Now, of course, if you are doing this solo, you will need to play a little bit more defensive, I guess. What's going to happen is you're going to have to just ideally blade up for a hit. You're going to get hit with a dispel every so often, but you ideally just want to keep spamming your blades and whatnot. And if not, just keep spamming hits, and that's just the way to go if you are trying to do Kane von Shane. So there is that. But other than that, the strategy is not too hard for this fight. I mean, it's a simple boss fight. He does have some mechanics involved and whatnot, but he's not the main deal you have to worry about in this dungeon. The other dungeon, or the other fight, I mean, in this dungeon, is the one that's going to cause a lot of problems for you guys. So there is that. But that's Kane von Shane, pretty straightforward. Just Scald Incendiate, or if you're in a team of 4 that doesn't do Scald Incendiate, just blade stack, and the next round just have someone use their Wallaroo hit, and they're good to go. Very straightforward. So After you do Kane von Shane, you want to head over to the blue room, I think it's called, or something like that. But I'll have like a graphic, or I'll have like footage in the background showing where I'm going. But you want to go inside there. It's next to the NPCs. And in this room, you want to interact with two certain books, which is called the Records for Count Strigoi. And then you also have the 11th Hour and Other Clock Idioms. Once you interact with both of those books, you will be able to go to the next room where you want to change the time. Now, if you click the wrong books, I believe it summons mobs. I could be wrong, but I believe it's something like that. So make sure you're interacting with the correct books in this dungeon. Then you head on over to the red room, and in this red room there is a clock, and what you want to do is you want to set this clock to 333. Now if you don't set it to 333, what's just going to happen is there won't be any wisps that spawn for you, so no health wisp, no mana wisp. So if you want to guess wrong, sure, but I would just set it to 333 so you don't have to worry about it. And then after some dialogue and whatnot, you'll make your way to the final boss of this dungeon, which is Count Strigoi himself. And he does have some cheats as well as some issues slash bugs which you might notice in your run if you're not paying attention. This is not going to be fixed by the time it gets to live realm, so be careful when you're doing this dungeon because it will annoy you, or you might just get lucky or whatnot. So let's go over the cheats, and then after that we'll go over some strategies, and then after that we'll go over some badges. So there's that. So when it comes to his cheats, he does have a couple cheats, which is they ascended. At the beginning of round 1, Strigoi will summon 3 rank 24 ascended guards, which are elite vampires. And then he has another cheat where it's like, I'm feeling a little overstuffed, which is a hint cheat. This is to let the wizards know that, hey, Strigoi is at 100% max HP. Then he has another cheat, which is the only thing I feel is hunger pangs, which is a hint cheat to let the wizards know that Strigoi is below 100% max HP. When he does this, that means you can't kill him in this state and he will revive. The next cheat he has is I told you, child, I protect you from the dangers beyond. At the beginning of round 3, Strigoi will cast Confusion on a random wizard, and then he will cast a 6k burst healing current on himself. And this Confusion, I believe, lasts around like 2 to 3 rounds, so just putting that out there. And then he has another cheat, which is, and now my hunger returns. Now, if Strigoi's minions proceed to die before him, he will cast Sacrifice on each of them. So he will be doing damage to himself, as well as healing up his allies. And then if you try killing Strigoi when he's below 100% max HP, he will cast Scarecrow, which is the cheat, are you alone? Let me fix that. And now you get the gimmick of the boss, which is, hey, you just have to kill him when he's at 100% HP. If he's below 100% HP, so if he has 19,990, you can't kill him. So you have to have him at purely 20k. Now there's an issue with this fight, which I think is the intended way, who knows? But he has Dark Tribute in his deck. So if he casts Dark Tribute, you are stuck waiting till he does a healing current on himself, and then you're able to actually kill him. If he doesn't cast the Dark Tribute and he's still at full HP, then you're good to go. You want to kill him as fast as you can. You currently cannot dispel Dark Tribute as of the time I'm recording this, and it's probably going to be the same in live realm. You currently cannot dispel the Dark Tribute because percent spells are ignoring negative charms. So if you use a mantle, if you try stunning him, if you try using a beguile, if you try using a death dispel, none of that's going to work on him because the percent is just going to ignore it completely. So yeah, there's a downside in this fight, and if he does cast that, well, GG. Basically, you have to wait a whole nother cycle for him to have full HP, and if he just randomly casts it again, well, GG again. So that's a one downside about this fight. So if it works in live realm, this is the strategy. What you would do is you would death dispel him round 1, and then after that go for a blast off incendiate on the second round when he has his minions alive. And then if not, if you don't do blast off incendiate, you just death dispel blade stack into a stormlord or a fire dragon or whatever your AoE is. That's the ideal way once they fix him and his Dark Tribute ignoring dispels. But for now, what I would recommend is if you can't do those strategies or he keeps using Dark Tribute round 1, of course, if he doesn't cast it round 1, then you're fine. You're good to kill round 2. You have nothing to worry about in your team fights. But if you're worried about him casting it round 1, you can do this other strategy instead where you just triple feint and then Tree of Strife round 1, and you have to have your hitter with 230% storm damage, as well as 50 pierce. I think it just kills barely, and this is assuming you have at least tier 1 Trigger Strife, so you're fine. You just need to get the damage. And then after that, you just Pwn Feint into a regular feint, and then next round you just have somebody mass feint, blade the other hitter, and then proceed to hit with a Waller AoE. That is completely fine as well. Either of these 3 strategies work. Pick your poison, whatever you're able to do. But if he does cast Dark Tribute round 1 and he ignores your Death Dispel, there's nothing you can do. Your best bet is to either reset, or at that point to wait an entire cycle till he gives himself HP again, so he can be dead at when he has 100% HP, because you can't kill him if he doesn't have 100% max HP. So there is that with this fight. Now that you guys get the gimmick and some issues with this fight, let's go over the badges in here, because there's a plentiful badges from both Count Strigoi as well as Kane von Shane. So there's a badge for Kane von Shane, which is solo Kane von Shane in Mortal Planes without his cheat cycle ever starting, which I'm assuming is just, you're just going to have to put damage overtimes on him, or if not, you're going to have to, for example, use a wand hit every so often. So that's what my honest opinion is, or probably what's going to happen. I don't know his exact way of doing it, because I didn't know this was a badge, so I got told this. So yeah, that's how you get the Kane Reaver badge. Now let's go over the Count Strigoi badges, which is Bit the Hand That Feeds. Now this one is going to be very annoying, which is defeat Count Strigoi in Mortal Planes without dealing any damage to him directly. So what this basically means is you're just going to have to use a bunch of infections on Count Strigoi and keep killing the minions over and over till he eventually kills himself. And I mean this quite literally, because he keeps casting Sacrifice to deal damage to himself, and he has Dark Tribute in his deck, so he'll do some extra damage to himself. So you're going to have to keep doing basically that over and over and over, and making sure that he doesn't heal himself that much with the infections. So, or with the healing current, I mean. So you basically have to use like infections and, you know, other stuff to kind of slow down his healing, so you can get this badge. This will probably be the hardest badge to get from here, because it's the most annoying one. Another badge is I won, I think, which is defeat Count Strigoi with a wizard that is confused. So literally the easiest way to do that is, instead of killing on round 2, just kill on round 3. He casts the confusion at the beginning of the round, so you can just kill him round 3, and you'll be good to go. Another one that is kind of annoying is 1 by 1, which is defeat Count Strigoi in Mortal Planes within the same round as all of his minions using only single target spells. The way to do this is, when Strigoi is at 100% max HP, each individual wizard kills one opponent. So you have like person 1 kill a boss, person 2 kill a minion, person 3 kill the other minion, just whoever is diagonal from you. That's like the easiest way to get this badge, and you have to make sure it kills. If it doesn't kill, you will not get this badge. And those are all the badges that you can get from this fight. Some unique ones, of course, but very tedious. I think the Bit the Hand That Feeds is probably going to be the most annoying one from here, just because you have to make sure he doesn't get healing off from that healing current, and you just have to keep spamming negative charms and whatnot to make him not heal. So I think that probably will be the annoying badge to get from here. Everything else seems reasonable in my opinion, but just that one is going to be the most annoying one. But that is how you do Castle Strigoi. I know there's a challenge mode for this dungeon, but that video won't come out till later, because I have like a certain process I am doing when it comes to all these videos. So that is it for me. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Hopefully you don't get a bugged run, aka Dark Tribute ignoring dispels, and you'll be good to go. But if not, well, and if you're trying to do this solo, I know some people are going to ask me, yo, Almond, can I do this solo? Good luck. I mean, honestly, it's just going to be annoying. It's more just because there's bugs currently. I do recommend doing this with people if possible, but literally, even if he's at 19k and he heals himself, and then you kill him in that same round, he will still come back alive. So there is some bugs in this fight. Hopefully we get an update or a patch soon after Darkboard comes out, because this boss will be annoying. But anyways, that is it. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.